Hello friends, I am creating this video to give a download for the Local Earth Village. I've got lots of friends and people who sometimes want to say tell us what's going on with the village, or tell us the history or where it's going. And I figured it might just be easier to create this video and be able to reference it on our website or our Facebook page and something like that. So the big picture model of the Local Earth Village that we're working on is based off of something called Dunbar's number. And there was a British anthropologist doing research on human dynamics, seeing how many people can know one another, really interrelate, communicate effectively with one another. And it's based on the capacity of our neocortex, and for humans it's around 150 people, so we can maintain real deep interconnected relationships with about 150 people. And that also leads to how many people we can effectively work together with on projects. So all throughout society and history, you see large companies or military battalions, like large groups break down into smaller groups, and you start to see this Dunbar's number show up all throughout history. So that's the big picture that we're working on. And then they say about 9 to 12 people is the max that can sit in a circle and see one another, hear one another, communicate effectively. And so based on a variety of factors, we are working on a model of 12 living clusters of 12 people, so about 144, 150 people for the full village. And currently we are 1 year into a 2-year phase 1 project on some 11 acres of land northeast of San Diego. And for these 2 years, we're testing out the social engineering and architecture of one living cluster of 12 people, and how we communicate with one another, how we make decisions together. Considering it's just 2 years on this land, we're not building super permanent infrastructure. It's more about kind of the social engineering and architecture, testing out our decision-making processes. We all have taken a training in something called sociocracy, which is it's a circular form of organizational management and decision making and governance. And so rather than a pyramid and a CEO or like one leader at the top, there is a general council in the center, and then there's functional circles off of that. And so sometimes they'll refer to it as a circular hierarchy. There's always double linking within each circle, and so there's a representative of each circle, so there's communication going throughout the whole system. So this is all based on something called the Earth 2.0 research project, and the 2.0 representing the next evolution of social and societal systems. Kind of like we update our computers, we upgrade our smartphones, why aren't we upgrading our social systems in terms of economics, governance, legal systems, everything. So we are, as I said, 1 year into the 2-year phases of this first project, and beginning in 2020, we're going to start planting the seeds and putting energy towards the creation of the phase 2 village, which will be land for 150 people. And the intention is to grow the majority of our own food. We'll decide on what exact percentage, but maybe up to like 75% of our own food. Generate all of our own clean, renewable energy, deal with all of our own waste within the village. And it's kind of that exploration of like, I don't necessarily want it to feel like it's like off-grid, isolating ourselves from society, more of working together with that efficient team of that Dunbar's number of around 150 people, which I see as, my background is architecture, and so when I think in like urban planning, and I heard that number 150, it's like I can visualize a community of 150 people. It's like a village, it's like a neighborhood. And so I see this as more like village-like neighborhoods, and where we are not depending on a city to meet our wastewater management needs for like 2 million people at once, where the neighborhood itself is dealing with a lot of things at that village neighborhood scale. So really looking at the scale of how we design regenerative systems and breaking that down to tangible numbers like the 150 or even smaller to the 12. And some of this based on even like sacred geometry and fractals, and seeing how patterns show up all throughout nature. We see like the Fibonacci sequence and ratios show up to like the smallest relationship of, you know, one part of our finger to the next, to the hand, to the elbow. The branches of trees, you see these patterns show up through galaxies and the spiraling arms of galaxies. And so a lot of this village blueprint is kind of based on fractals, so it can all scale, and it's based a little bit on the fractal of 12. So we go to the 12 to the 144. The next fractal would be at around 2,000 people. Then you're looking at around 20,000 people. And the scale of systems design, you know, obviously at a village of 150 people, you're not going to be making your own cars. But when we get into like more urban planning methodologies, these systems and these concepts do scale, and maybe at the 20,000 person size, then that's like where you're talking about manufacturing and creating your own cars, etc. So that's a little download on the overview of the Local Earth Village at the moment. We, as I said, will be starting momentum in 2020 for phase 2 for the 150 person village. So linked on either our Facebook page or below this video on our website, there's a link to a village landing page, and anybody who's interested in co-creating and being part of the phase 2, the 150 person village. In 2020, we're going to start assembling that team and having a monthly meeting and co-creation, co-design meeting. And we're starting to gather that team and those names even now. So if you are interested, feel free to sign up for the newsletter specifically for the phase 2 of the Local Earth Village. And then there's also a form underneath there that shares, where we can share like skill sets. You know, we'll need natural builders, we'll need farmers, we'll need engineers, we'll need mechanics. So it's an opportunity to share what skills we feel like we have to offer to bring to a village. And the overall intention of this is to hopefully find solutions and ways for humanity to live in balance with nature and the natural systems. Because currently our human systems are not sustainable and regenerative. We have an exponential population growth. We have a finite planet. We have lots of waste and pollution happening all around. And so I think it's a really beautiful opportunity for us right now to harness the amazing technology that we have on the planet and focus that on regenerative solutions at community and neighborhood scale. So thank you so much for your time, and if you're interested, please connect with us on the forum or on the website in the newsletter. Blessings, aloha.